When a relationship begins, it's electric. You text, you call, you meet, you share, and you feel as though you've found someone who finally understands you. But slowly, without realizing it, you begin to give more than you receive. You adjust your schedule to fit hers. You apologize for things that aren't your fault. You chase, you prove, you explain. You begin to forget that you are a whole person who once had dreams, friends, and ambitions. And then one day, you notice, she's no longer impressed by your effort. Why? Cuss. Because effort that lacks balance turns into noise. Constant presence becomes invisible. When you stop giving space for her to breathe, to wonder, to think about you, you become predictable. So here's the truth. Jessica Opare always reminds her audience, a woman cannot value what she does not fear losing. Stepping back is not about playing games, it's about reclaiming your equilibrium. It's about showing, through action, that your world does not revolve around her approval. The day you stop chasing, something magical happens. Ibrar, you start walking differently, your energy shifts, you stop checking your phone every 5 minutes, you stop replaying her last message in your mind. You stop wondering whether she still cares, and she, the one who thought you'd always be available, starts to feel the silence. She begins to ask herself questions she never did before. Abrathi, where did he go? Abrasi, why hasn't he called? Abri, has he moved on? Your absence plants stay in her heart. Your silence becomes a mirror that reflects her own behavior back at Herman. Often think that to keep a woman's attention, they must constantly prove their love. But the opposite is true. Attention grows in absence. Desire blooms in distance. When you stop chasing, you stop telling her, you complete me. Instead, you show her, I was complete before you. And that truth, that energy, draws her closer than any text ever could. It's not a fancy gift. It's not a message, a song, or a photo. It's your withdrawal of emotional attention. When you pull your emotional energy back to yourself, not out of anger, but out of peace, you trigger something profound. She begins to miss the emotional validation she used to receive from you. You see, attention is currency in relationships. Every compliment, every check-in, every reassurance, these are forms of emotional deposits. When you stop making them, she feels the loss. At first, she may act as if she doesn't care. She'll say she's fine, she'll post happy pictures, she'll stay busy. But deep down, she'll feel the void. Because your consistency once filled an emotional gap she didn't even realize existed. When it disappears, her world feels quieter, and not in a comforting way. This is the moment when she begins to replay everything you've done for her, everything you've said, and everything she took for granted. Most men lose themselves emotionally because they believe that showing restraint equals indifference. But emotional discipline is not coldness, it's maturity. You are allowed to love deeply, but you must love with boundaries. You are allowed to care, but not at the cost of self-respect. Jessica Opare teaches this with grace. The one who controls their emotions controls the relationship. When you stop reacting to every message, every mood swing, every test, you rise above the emotional chaos that keeps most men trapped. You show her that your peace cannot be bought or broken. A man who is calm, composed, and focused on his path is magnetic. His energy speaks for him. He doesn't need to beg for validation because he already carries self-worth inside him. Humans are wired to value what they can't easily have. When you are constantly available, there's no mystery. But when you withdraw, when you start living your life fully, you awaken her curiosity again. Skin distance forces perspective. It allows her to see the parts of you she overlooked. It reminds her of how it felt when you made her laugh, when you listened, when you cared. Absence doesn't just make the heart grow fonder, it makes the mind remember. When she can't reach you easily, she starts to appreciate your presence. When she can't predict you, she starts to crave your attention again. And here's the beautiful twist. When you stop trying to make her miss you, that's when she finally does. This isn't only about her missing you. It's about you rediscovering yourself. When you stop contacting her, something powerful happens within you. You start to hear your own thoughts again. You reconnect with your goals, your body, your friends, your passions. Shibru. You start to remember what made you, you. Your world expands again. You realize that love was never meant to consume you. It was meant to complement you. The silence you once feared becomes your sanctuary. Ibru. You begin to understand that solitude isn't loneliness, it's strength. When you learn to be at peace with your own company, you become unstoppable. You no longer chase love, you attract it. Women are intuitive. They can sense energy shifts even before they see them. When your focus changes, she'll feel it. Ibru. She'll see that your messages are shorter, calmer, more purposeful. She'll notice that you no longer over-explain. She'll feel that your tone carries quiet confidence rather than anxious approval. That energy difference speaks louder than any argument. A percent tells her you've grown. It tells her you've found peace she can't disturb. And ironically, that's when she'll start to chase. Not because she wants control, but because she finally sees the man she underestimated. Letting doesn't mean you've stopped caring. It means you've stopped forcing what isn't flowing. It means you've chosen peace over pressure. When you truly let go, not performatively, but from your soul, you teach the universe that you're ready for what's meant for you. Shibru, she might come back, she might not. Either way, you win, because you've already found yourself. Shibru, letting go is freedom. It's choosing faith over fear. It's saying, I trust that what's meant for me won't require me to beg. That energy, that detachment, is what makes her finally see your worth. A woman misses a man not because he disappears, but because he leaves behind presence, not noise. Be the man who brings peace, not drama. Be the man whose silence feels like a loss. Be the man who inspires her to become better simply because of how you carry yourself. When you focus on becoming that man, mentally strong, emotionally stable, purpose-driven, she won't just miss you, she'll respect you. Ibrahi and respect lasts longer than attraction. She's wondering where you are, you're building something. You're reading, working out, improving your craft, spending time with people who uplift you. Purpose fills the void that obsession once occupied. Ibrahi. The more you grow, the less you need external validation. And ironically, this growth draws her attention again, because she can sense when a man is on his mission. A man with purpose doesn't chase, he creates. He doesn't beg for love, he becomes love. Jessica Opare's wisdom echoes here. A man who knows his purpose will never be lost in the chase. It often happens quietly. She'll scroll through your old messages. She'll visit your profile. She might even text, "Hey, how have you been?" pretending it's casual. But deep down, she's trying to reconnect with the energy she lost. The emotional safety, the attention, the warmth, it's gone. And she misses not just you, but the version of herself that existed when she was with you. This is where your growth is tested. Do you reply immediately and fall back into old patterns? Or do you stay calm, knowing that you've already risen above the need for validation? If you stay composed, you show her and yourself that your peace is non-negotiable. Every person you give energy to shapes your life's direction. When you stop pouring your energy into someone who doesn't reciprocate, you redirect it toward your destiny. Your mind clear. Your body relaxes. Your creativity returns. You begin to glow differently. That glow, that peace, is the one thing no one can fake. It's the essence of someone who has learned detachment without bitterness. You stop needing closure because peace is closure. Stepping away gives both of you an emotional reset. It forces her to reflect and you to grow. You stop playing the role of the pursuer. You become the observer. You begin to see the relationship for what it truly was, not what you wanted it to be. This awareness is painful at first, but it's liberating. You begin to realize that sometimes rejection is redirection, that every loss teaches emotional intelligence. And with time, you thank the silence for what it gave you. Clarity. Nothing is more attractive than a man who respects himself. Self-worth is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It radiates. When you value your time, your energy, your peace, people can feel it. Opare, you stop over-explaining. You stop apologizing for existing. Opare, you move differently. You talk with conviction. Opare, you make decisions from confidence, not fear. That kind of energy makes her miss you, not because you disappeared, but because she realizes she may never find that level of emotional maturity again. Opare, the cycle of realization. Opare. First, she ignores you. Then, she notices your silence. Opare, then, she wonders what happened. Opare, then, she replays the moments. Opare, then, she regrets. It's a cycle that every emotionally unavailable person goes through when they lose someone real. Your job isn't to wait for her realization. It's to keep evolving while she processes it. Because by the time she fully understands your worth, you might have already outgrown the version of yourself that needed her validation. That's true growth. Silence isn't punishment, it's medicine. When you stop contacting her, you give your heart time to heal. You stop reopening wounds with constant conversations. You stop feeding the same emotional loop that kept you trapped. In the quiet, you start hearing your intuition again. You start to trust yourself. You start to rebuild the confidence you once outsourced. Healing is not linear. Some days you'll miss her. Some days you'll feel powerful. But over time, peace becomes your new normal. And when peace becomes your standard, chaos becomes unattractive. By now, you've realized this journey was never about making her miss you. It was about finding yourself again. The man who once chased is now leading his own life. The man who once waited for texts is now building his dreams. The man who once doubted himself now walks with quiet confidence. She may miss you, but you no longer need her to. Because the new you doesn't crave attention, you command it simply by being grounded in your worth. So, what is the one thing that will make her miss you? It's not silence alone. It's evolution. When you stop contacting her and use that time to grow, to heal, to evolve, she feels that shift. Not because you vanished, but because you've transformed. And transformation cannot be ignored. Jessica Opare says it best. When you elevate your energy, everything that vibrates lower will fall away. That's the ultimate truth. When you rise, she'll feel the distance, not just physically, but energetically, and that's when she'll miss you. Not the man who begged for attention, but the man who found peace in silence. Stop waiting for her to notice your worth. Start living in a way that makes you unforgettable. Be so focused on becoming your best self that her opinion no longer defines your value. The world is vast, life is short, and your potential is limitless. When you move with self-respect, peace, and purpose, everything that's truly meant for you will align effortlessly. So walk away not in anger, but in grace. Let her miss your presence. Let your silence speak. Let your growth answer. Because the truth is simple, she'll miss you when you do this one thing, when you finally choose yourself.